Happy Monday. Welcome in to Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you up to speed on the latest Seattle Seahawks news and rumors after the 2023 NFL Draft, as Seattle has added a quarterback, a wide receiver, and also got a pretty interesting rumor on Poona Ford that we'll get to coming up on today's show. Before we get to all that, though, got to shout out the 12s out there. You guys are the real ones and help us reach our goal of 37,000 subscribers on the channel. Another milestone in the books. We did it for Sean Alexander, 37 for 37. Appreciate you guys showing up and showing out and helping grow this channel. Now let's get to 38,000 subscribers. Why not, right? Subscribe today for the latest happenings on your Seattle Seahawks. We have all the latest news and rumors each and every day. We do our live shows on Wednesdays. We're talking minicamp, OTAs, training camp, preseason, and more here on the channel. Just because the draft is over doesn't mean that the work stops here. Subscribe today for free and be a part of the party all season long here on Seahawks Today. Jack Coan, the former Notre Dame and Wisconsin college quarterback, also spent a hot minute with the Indianapolis Colts and most recently in the XFL with the San Antonio Brahmas. I don't even know what a Brahma is, to be honest. Has been invited to rookie minicamp for the Seattle Seahawks. And the Seahawks team trying to weigh their options to potentially carry a third quarterback on the roster. Could Jack Coan be that guy? Well, let's tell you more about Jack Coan. We mentioned, started in 2019 at Wisconsin, had the medical redshirt year at 2020, and then in 2021 started at Notre Dame for the Fighting Irish. Went undrafted last year and signed with the Colts, ultimately didn't make the roster, but started in 7 games in the XFL this year for the love of football, and played in 8 with that San Antonio team. Stats were not anything to really write home about, if we're going to be perfectly honest with you. 62% completion percentage, over 1,400 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions were the numbers for Jack Coan. And I'll say this. When I look at the Seahawks quarterback situation, obviously they didn't draft a quarterback, but weighing their options like they are now, I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle carries 3 quarterbacks on the active roster, or at least has a practice squad quarterback that they feel very confident to be the de facto number 3 quarterback to promote up to the active roster if there was an injury to Geno Smith or Drew Lock. Because think about what we saw last year. Just staying right in the division with the San Francisco 49ers, this was a team that went through, 3, 4 quarterbacks last year? They had to have plenty of options. You saw the Miami Dolphins last year end up starting Skylar Thompson, their number 3 quarterback, in a playoff game last year. So I think that in the best interest of the Seahawks, they have to keep an open mind. If somebody stands out throughout these OTAs and mini camps, whatever it may be, not even necessarily Jack Coan, but somebody out there, want to rule out the possibility of Seattle keeping a third quarterback around. Right now, before factoring in any UDFAs or rookie minicamp invites, just any of that, just going in, the Seahawks have Geno Smith and Drew Lock as your number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks. But things could change. We could see somebody else join the fold. So let us know what you guys think. Should the Seahawks sign another quarterback, or should they sign anyone out there in free agency that's available at this point? Give me a player the Seahawks should sign. That's our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. And let me know if you think the Seahawks should sign somebody in free agency. Next up, the Seahawks signed a wide receiver over the weekend. That would be Easop Winston making his return to the Seahawks roster. And what's interesting with Winston is it's been up and down, right? He was signed to a future/reserve contract at the end of the season. Then back on April 15th, just before tax day, he was waived by the Seahawks, became an unrestricted free agent, and now he's back with the Seahawks. Winston went undrafted in 2020 out of Washington State. His time on the football field has been pretty limited, as we've only seen him in 3 career games as he was on the Saints active roster in 2021, had 1 catch for 5 receiving yards in the one game that we saw him play. But here's where I really want to turn the attention to. Besides just Aesop Winston coming back to the Seahawks roster, think about this. The Seahawks, now with the move to go with Jackson Smith-Njigba in the first round at pick number 20, in addition to already having Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, I think all of a sudden you're looking at this Seattle Seahawks team as having one of the best receiver rooms in the entire National Football League. I think it is that good because that number 3 receiver spot, we've seen, guys like D. Eskridge tried to compete for that spot, and others, and, Marquise Goodwin, of course, last year as well, and no one could really establish themselves in that number 3 role. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba comes in right away, and you're looking at a guy that can play the slot, that can get open and get to the middle of the field and be such an effective receiver. I'm looking at JSN having an immediate impact on this Seahawks offense. And, we don't know how much longer Tyler Lockett's going to be around. He's in his 30s, and he dealt with some injuries last year. I think you're looking at JSN eventually being the replacement for Tyler Lockett and becoming your number 2 receiver. But at this point in time, at this moment, looking at that 3-headed monster, watch out. The Seahawks are here to play. They're here to throw the football and score a lot of points. I think you're going to see that from this Seahawks team, especially with what they did with the running game, too, with adding Zach Charbonnet and Kenny McIntosh. Watch out. The Seahawks offense is going to be explosive, and the receiver room is going to be a lot of fun to watch in Seattle this upcoming year. If you had to grade the Seahawks wide receiver room right now, I'd give it an A, personally. I think it's top-notch. What would you grade the Seahawks wide receiver room as things stand right now? Tell me in the comment section, A, B, C, D, or F, what you would grade the wide receiver room for the Seattle Seahawks. Very curious what you think. Let us know in the comment section below. All right, one more note to wrap up on today's show. Poona Ford, who remains a free agent out there after spending the last few seasons with the Seahawks, according to CBS Sports, has been named one of the top free agents still remaining on the market and most likely to land not back in Seattle, but with the LA Chargers. Here's more from Cody Benjamin. Los Angeles didn't address the D-line until the 6th round of the draft, and the team is serious about contending out of the AFC West. It could use more reinforcements there. Ford, who spent the last 5 seasons with the Seahawks, isn't necessarily a game wrecker, but he's a durable, gap-plugging veteran who could beef up their current lineup at what figures to be a reasonable price. Interesting. More on Puna Ford in a second. Before we do, folks, if you want to rep Jackson Smith-Njigba, who we talked about a second ago, or Devin Witherspoon, either one, you're in luck because Seahawk rookie jerseys are on sale now. You can get this flashy number 1 that you're seeing on your screen. If you go to chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies, you can get yours today and be the first to be rocking with these jerseys that you saw these guys on their draft night of them wearing and how cool they are. I mean, these are awesome, and you don't want to wait around. You want to make sure to get these jerseys while you can because it's a pretty cool deal because, guys, sure, they change their numbers, whatnot, but the draft night jersey of the number 1 is so unique in its own right. You got to get on this while you have the opportunity to do so because these are only going to be available for a limited time. Chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies to get yours today. That's chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies to get your Devin Witherspoon, or you can get your Jackson Smith-Njigba jerseys now. Now back to Puna Ford. I look at this Seahawks team and where they're at on the defensive line. I think there could still be a spot for Puna Ford, potentially, if he wants to be in Seattle as a rotational player. Now, the difference for Poona Ford in regards to possibly why the Chargers, for him personally, might be a better option, is that he would go into Los Angeles and he'd be a starter. In Seattle, you'd be looking at him getting playing time, but being a rotational piece, competing for playing time, but walking into Los Angeles and without question being a starter there. So, Walt, for Poona Ford, I think it'd be great to have him back in Seattle. I don't think it's necessarily best for him to be back in Seattle, just where the Seahawks roster is at right now. Poona Ford, remember, he was undrafted out of Texas. Pretty cool to see how far he's come back in 2018. Spent the last 4 years with the Seahawks, started all 17 games last year with 3 sacks, 35 tackles, and 2 passes defended there for Poona Ford. So, real quick, will Poona Ford return to the Seahawks? What say you? Let us know in the comment section. Type Y for yes, type in for no if you think Poona Ford is going to be back or not. Hit me up on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live, talking about your Seattle Seahawks there. And I'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today. Thanks for joining us.